of Network Learning and Development. Thank you, Halima, for getting us recorded. I'm really excited to be here today and have this really important hot topic conversation here about retention and how retention is impacting your programs. So we're really excited to get your insights and ideas and experiences today. And we'd like to start off today with a nice warm welcome from our Executive Director, Ms. Kathy Stevens. Kathy?
Thanks, Tiffany. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to kind of see you. I know that it's more fun bumping into each other in person, but this is a great turnout for today. And I think you have a great topic in front of you and a really important one that I know everybody is thinking about. So I just wanted to take a minute to say hello. Thank you for all of your continued work, and say we have so many great things looking forward to look forward to this coming year. I know many of you are getting back into the real classroom, but also continuing virtual work, and all of this knits together with all the programming that we are providing for you and all of the things that we continue to do and want to do with you. So I just wanted to say welcome. You know, our doors, literally and figuratively, are always open for you to call, email. We could have a virtual chat. We could meet for outside coffee somewhere. Anything that you want to do to stay in touch, share thoughts, ask questions is available. I'm going to be doing a series of coffee talks with a variety of people, and you'll see those start to be advertised soon. And as a little teaser, at the end of this session, there'll be an important announcement about Mikhail and a milestone that we are celebrating. And we'll be kicking that off with an event that you'll hear about on October 28th. And Tiffany and Rudy and Halima will give you more information about that. And that will launch a series of celebrations over the next 6 months for a milestone. So make sure you stay on till the end so that you hear about that. And again, I'll let you get to the work, the important work that this session has. And thank you, Tiffany, for pulling together such a great agenda and a great group of people today. And I will see you all and talk with you soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. Bravo, bravo. Yeah, so we're, as Kathy was saying, this is such a rich topic that we're focusing on for our topics in program administration. So our attention is on retention. Today is going to be an interactive conversation around learner retention and persistence and how that's impacting your programs. So as we asked those who came a little bit earlier, if you're just coming in, please on your display for your name, if you'll put your name and then your organization. And as we're leading into today's workshop, if everyone will just take a moment to think about our icebreaker question here at the bottom of the screen. What do you hope to gain from today's workshop? If you'll take a moment to think about that, and you'll have an opportunity to share with the group. So I'll give you a few moments. What do you hope to gain? Like one short sentence would be wonderful. If you feel so called, you can type it in the chat, but you'll also have the opportunity to share with the group. Okay, so let's see who's in the room here. And what you can do for this activity for the introduction is when you feel so called, you can unmute yourself and share with us briefly, since we have a pretty good sized group today, your name, your organization, and one brief sentence about what you hope to gain from today's workshop. When you feel so called, you can just unmute yourself.
Okay, I can start if okay.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Adriana Rivas, and I've been with the Shepherd Pratt program for over 3 years. So I've been teaching all the levels, and I sometimes when you criticize the students, they tend to go away. So I wanted to know, I always do constructive criticism, but they feel like that I'm being too harsh. So I want to know another way to criticize, not so much criticize, but to make them stay and try to survive. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. We're understanding. We got you. Fantastic. Who's next? Your name, your organization, and a quick statement about what you hope to gain today.
Hi, I'm Sheila Harrison. I am with the George B. Thomas Learning Academy, also known as Saturday School. I hope to take back some great ideas for consistently retaining students and making them excited about coming back the next year.
Next year, that's important. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sheila. Stacey, I see your hands up.
Hi, I'm Stacey Fanon, the ESOL Program Director of the Briggs Center for Faith in Action in Bethesda. What do I hope to gain from today's workshop? Ideas on how to deal with students resisting homework. You know, if homework is a requirement for class, and what to do if a student just doesn't do their homework and therefore doesn't progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacey. Who would like to go next?
I can go next.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Kathy Smithson, and I'm the program manager at the Up-County Youth Opportunity Center with Identity. I'm just curious just to hear and hope to gain more information today on you know, what other organizations or groups have done to help keep students engaged, especially in a virtual setting. I see there's a lot of like Zoom fatigue. And I know specifically for our program, we're continuing to offer services virtually. So again, I'd like to hear more ideas of how we can keep them engaged.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, this is Shannon from CASA. Kind of on a similar note, we found with our in-person classes, you know, creating a sense of community is really important for retention. And so, you know, now that we're in a virtual space, we want to continue to foster that sense of community. But, you know, it is, it's a little bit challenging because you have to think of new ways to do it. So I'd love to hear what other organizations have done that they found to be successful.
Fantastic. Thank you, Shannon. Hi, Shannon. Okay, Paul, I had seen you unmuting yourself. Did you want to go?
Yeah, thank you, Tiffany. My name is Paul. I'm at the Briggs Center in my 5th year teaching. And like others, I am keen to learn tips on how we can make it easier for students who might otherwise leave to stay with us. What kind of flexibility do we need to offer? What kind of anticipation do we need to have in place to maybe see this before it becomes a problem? And how we can help them. I think we have a lot to learn from each other. I think that's one of the powers of the network. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Also, as the through the Mikhail Advisory Group, which I'm now happy to be a member on, and you'll talk about it more, Tiffany, very keen to see if there's anything coming out of this that the advisory group might be able to help with.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. So Paul is the chairperson for our Mikhail Advisory Group. So we'll be leaning on them a lot for their advice around how we can leverage this knowledge that we're gaining and the knowledge of our network as we develop programs moving forward. Thank you, Paul.
I can go.
All right. Thank you, Kyle.
My name is Kyle Broadnax, and I'm the program manager at the Crossroads Youth Opportunity Center. I also work for Identity. I think what I'm looking to gain from today's workshop is some strategies for specifically like incentive programs to kind of lure clients, you know, students in. Obviously retention is, you know, the goal, but getting them in the door, just looking at some new ways to kind of incentivize, you know, joining the program.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kyle.
I'll go. This is Rebecca from CASA, and I'm the ESOL coordinator for both workforce and the life skills. And it's sort of a twofold issue, but I would like to learn or get some ideas about how to assist students that have internet connectivity issues. We're still on Zoom, and to make it sound like it's still one thing, and how to assist people who, or students who get frustrated trying to be online, even though I feel like we've helped them a lot, and then they give up.
Thank you, Rebecca. Anyone else?
Hi, this is
Hello.
Chao Chao.
Hello.
Hi, Chao Chao Liu from CCACC, Chinese organization. I can say something that my gain for my ESOL program this year is to get more new students and at the same time retain my existing students. And then want to make the class more interesting, this and that. So I want to get more ideas from today's meeting that learn from everyone else. I believe you have many more creative ways than I do. And then I think my class, they have and have. Have students, they always turn in the homework. Then some students, they just never do. And in the Zoom, I don't want to sound too forceful. So I want to know how to, stimulate them so they can do more homework. Yeah.
Thank you, Chao Chao. I'm definitely detecting some themes coming through, huh? Yeah. Fabulous. Anyone else? We have a couple more moments. We'd love to hear who else is in the room. All
There were
right.
also some items in the chat that we might read.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yes, please,
so,
Rudy.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Rudy Jung, Director of Programs, and I think I know most of you. But anyway, I'm very excited to be here to be co-hosting this meeting with Tiffany. So Rosa from Ethiopian Community Center would like to know how to keep students interested in learning and coming to class regularly. Shari Wadi with Shepherd Pratt would like to have fresh on innovative ideas to keep our participants excited about our services. And Cecilia Rojas, ideas or success stories on how to retain students. I think I got everybody who didn't speak. But Lena with Shepherd Pratt, I would like for students to be as excited about the lesson as myself. And on with Vietnamese American Services, tips and strategies on how to keep students engaged and coming back to class. So I hope I got everybody there.
Fantastic. And thank you everyone for sharing your introductions, either verbally or by chat. It's really great to hear what's in the room. And there are definitely some themes that we're seeing. So during today's conversation, it is a topics in program administration. So there'll be a lot of focus on that. But we're very excited to announce that on the 27th, we're going to have an instructor's version of today's workshop so that we can continue to support instructors in developing their strategies around learner retention. So our objectives for today's workshop, this is going to be an interactive workshop. So all of you who are saying that you want to hear from other programs, we are definitely going to be centering today's experience around that. So we're going to explore together the different variables that affect learner retention and persistence. You're going to, through conversation and using a Jamboard today, you're going to gain a greater of an understanding of what other adult ESOL programs are doing in different areas of learner retention. And then our hope is that you'll walk away today with at least one new thing, a practice, a tool, an idea that you can implement in your program to support your learner retention. So how are we going to do this? Our agenda for today, welcome and intros. Thank you all for participating in that. Rudy is going to give us a kind of an overview of the knowledge we have here at McHale about our network and our persistence ratings and seeing where your programs currently are with enrollment as well. Then we're going to work together in breakout rooms to explore retention factors along a learner retention timeline. If we have time, we'll get to some peer Q&A. If not, we'll have opportunities to continue this conversation. And we'll close out with getting your feedback and having some network announcements. So next I'll pass it to Rudy and we'll explore where we are with our learner retention.
Thank you, Tiffany. We thought it would be useful to kind of lay the groundwork for this conversation by first, we're going to do a little bit of a poll and see, get a feel for what your different programs are experiencing, I mean, in terms of enrollment. So Tiffany, would you mind launching the poll? So first, are you currently holding classes in person, virtually, or hybrid? And please check all that apply. And the second question is, has this fall's enrollment or demand for class been greater than expected, less than expected, or as expected? I'll just give you a few moments to complete that. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So if we look at the results here, 82% of you are having classes virtually still, with a few of you in person, and even fewer of you having hybrid classes. And in terms of enrollment, just gonna, it's about as expected. So that's good. That's good news. And then the other people who didn't say that, half of you you're split between greater than expected and less than expected. Thanks. Thanks, Tiffany. So that just kind of gives us all a feeling of where our programs are as we're going into this fall. It's been a challenging fall, I think, because of the uncertainty with COVID and everything. One thing I wanted to start with, though, as we begin our discussion, is really what do we mean by when we say retention and persistence? And probably most of you know in general what we're talking about, but just to clarify it here, retention and persistence are two sides of the same coin, really. So as it says on the slide, learners persist and programs retain. So when we're talking about learner retention, it's a program's ability to retain learners for a defined period of time or until a predetermined goal is achieved. Whereas persistence is seeing it from the learner's side, and it's their ability to remain in a program for a defined period of time or until a predetermined goal is achieved. But as you might guess, as we're thinking about these definitions, each program kind of probably has their own idea of what of persistence and retention. I know that as we were working on putting these definitions together, in my mind, I always think of persistence and retention over 1 year, over one fiscal year, because that's the way our reporting is, because we report to the county each year. But as important is, as Sheila mentioned, is what about the retention of students from year to year? And I'm sure that many of your programs keep track of that too, and that's an important measure to keep track of. Any thoughts about the definitions? Okay. And then we thought it would be useful to show some comparative data. So this is data that's collected from McHale grant partners, and all of whom have to report to McHale on their numbers every year. Thank you very much. It enables us to see information like this. So if we look at this first chart, this is we had 18 programs that reported persistence in FY21. And just to mention, it's we have two grant types, program grants that are managed enrollment, the larger programs, and then access grants, which are usually smaller and maybe drop-in programs. And so while the 9 program grants are required to report on persistence, some of the, and we encourage the access partners to do that as well. So you can see the highest is a big range. The highest rate is at 89%, lowest is 49%, and the average is 66%. You know, I think that is a mistake. I'm sorry. I'll have to look back, but in any case, I don't know, maybe that is right. In any case, what I found really interesting about this is that you would think that the larger programs that are managed enrollment and that are not drop-in programs would all be clustered at the top. They would have higher persistence rates, but it's not true. Actually, the program grant managed enrollment programs are sprinkled throughout this this graph. So there's some at the higher end and there's some at the lower end. And I just wanted to say also, when you look at this data, you have to have some caution, or there are a lot of caveats, because the programs represented here are very diverse. As I said, it includes some drop-in programs, and so it is not expected that learners actually persist. I forgot to say that for this reporting, persistence means that a learner attends 70% of classes in a session. And that was a standard that a group of McHale grant partners got together and decided, okay, we have to have a standard way of measuring this. So for this purpose, persistence means 70% of all classes attended. Next slide, please. So I also pulled out this data for just the managed enrollment programs, the program grants, the 9 programs. So the highest is 88, the lowest is 49, and the average is 70%. So what's interesting is that there's not much difference in the average persistence rate. And again, even within the program grants, there are different characteristics that might make some programs, some learners keep coming over others. Traditionally, programs with seniors actually had higher retention rates, maybe because seniors don't have as many other distractions in their lives. They may not be working and have more free time. Also, another factor might be some programs, the ESOL program is embedded within a larger program of classes and services. And so the learners are invested in a whole program, so their attendance or their persistence tends to be higher. So again, we have to have a little bit of caution, but we thought you might be interested to see this, to compare just with your own, where you are on within that range. But anyway, we all know that learners have a lot of things going on in their lives, and much of it is not in our control. However, there are things in our control also. So that's what we'll be discussing today. I think that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions or responses to what Rudy was sharing around the data? If you do, feel free to unmute, since we can't really see everyone on one screen. Okay, thank you. If anything comes up, feel free to drop it into the chat as we move forward. All right, so we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of today's workshop and start working together as we explore retention and persistence factors. We're going to be asking ourselves and each other 2 key questions around learner retention today. 1, why are learners leaving? And 2, what does your program do to encourage learners' attendance? So when we're asking about this, we're thinking about the policies you've had. We've heard people talk about engagement and incentives, tools, communications, whatever those are, examining what and sharing what your organization uses to continue to encourage learners to show up day after day. So retention is a huge topic. We could go in so many directions. So to kind of give us a to build from today. We started thinking as we were talking with other programs, as we were preparing for today's workshop, the idea for a learner retention timeline came to mind as a way to help guide our conversation. So if you imagine a learner's journey in a program, there's a start point and then there's some kind of transition point when we're thinking about transition. So for the sake of today's conversation, we're going to look at these 5 key points on the learner's timeline. Enrollment, when they start and sign up for a program, and their first day of class. When we're talking about retention as it pertains to these key points, we're looking at the time in between and exploring these questions. Why would exploring the questions, why are learners leaving, and what does your program do to encourage learner attendance in this time frame between enrollment and the first day? We know for many classes, learners are excited, they're enrolling, they're enthusiastic, and then come the first day of class, they're not there. Why did they leave? Where did they go? And what is your program doing to encourage them to show up on the first day? We'll also be exploring the time frame between the first day of class and mid-session, and the end of session, and then the time frame between the end of session and their entry point, whatever that may be for your program, into their next session or semester. So we are going to use Jamboard today to have this conversation. Can you raise your hand if you've never used Jamboard before? Never used Jamboard? Okay, there's a couple of us. I'll give you a quick little tutorial of Jamboard. Think of Jamboard, the way we'll use it today, as the equivalent to putting chart paper around in a in-person space and using sticky notes to capture ideas on chart paper. Jamboard is just going to be a virtual version of doing that. So I'll stop sharing for 1 second so I can show you our Jamboard, and I'll also share the link with you. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Yes. Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's get back to slide 1. Okay, and I'm also going to share the link with you. Actually, let's see here. 1 moment, please. Okay. So I'm going to share the link with you in the chat, and you can access it there. And this will take you to the exact same board that I'm showing here on my screen. Okay. And I'll give you a moment to get in. Yeah, I see some people coming in. There you are. Fantastic. Okay, so if you are on your computer, this should come up fine. Sometimes if you're on your cell phone, it might prompt you to download the app, which is pretty easy and straightforward. Okay, I'll give everyone a moment to get in. Okay. Great. Looks like most of us are in. If you're having any troubles getting in, please just write "help me" or something in the chat. And we'll see maybe if Halima, if you could help someone out if they're having a hard time getting in, but it looks like most of us are in. Okay, so yes, Jamboard today is going to be like our virtual equivalent to chart paper up around the room. We are going to break down into small group breakout rooms, and we are going to do some brainstorming and thinking about these different time frames and why learners may be leaving and what your specific program does to encourage learner attendance. So if you look at the top of your Jamboard, you'll see a little rectangle with a number. You can click the arrow to the right, and these will take you to different Jamboard pages. This is like the equivalent to our little different pieces of chart paper. So you'll be broken down into breakout rooms, and each breakout room will have a specific time frame from the learner retention timeline to brainstorm around. So you'll have 10 or 15 minutes as a group to think about the specific time frame for your group and answer these 2 questions. 1, why are learners leaving during this specific time frame? So for example, I have between enrollment and first day of class. And then you'll also think about, what does your program do to encourage learner attendance during this time frame? Your policies, your procedures, your incentives. Your group can add your ideas and insights by going to this area to the left. It's the fourth icon down. It says sticky note when you hover over it. When you click, it'll pull up a little sticky note. You can type your ideas and click save, and that will add a sticky note to the Jamboard. So it's a way for you to collaborate and to share your ideas. When we break you into groups, if you have any trouble with that, Rudy, Halima, and I will be available to support you. Okay. So again, we'll break you out into breakout groups. Each group will have one time frame to focus on for the next 10-15 minutes to discuss and add to the sticky board your responses to the 2 questions on the Jamboard. Okay.
Tiffany, have you
Yes.
assigned that by group, or should we put that?
Yeah, so
Say that right now.
Sure. So I think we can say breakout room number, we'll randomly assign the rooms, right? And then
Yes, they are.
breakout room number 1 will be the time frame between enrollment and the first day of class. So this is the second page.
Okay.
Group number 2 will be between the first day of class and mid-session.
I'm renaming the groups too, so.
Oh, fantastic.
That will be helpful, maybe. Okay.
Group number 3 will be between mid-session and end of session.
Okay.
And group number 4 will be brainstorming between the end of session and then the start of the following session.
Okay.
Okay, so again, in
So-
your groups, you'll just be brainstorming your particular time frame. You'll be talking together and adding your sticky notes to the board to answer these 2 questions. Why are learners leaving during this time frame? And what does your program do to encourage learner attendance during this time frame? Any questions? Okay. So we are going to open the breakout rooms, and Rudy, Halima, and I will be around to provide support. Make sure you're going.
Okay, here we go.
I know one of the things that kind of struck me was the fact that I don't look at retention in this way. I don't look at it in terms of a timeline. I look at it in terms of just the whole concept. And I think that I'm missing opportunities because of that, right? Because when I'm, traditionally when I thought of retention, it was basically how can I keep the students coming back to class? But no, there's a continuum of retention that I need to look at. And there's specific strategies that go with specific timeframes. So I thought this was really good for me to view it in a different way.
Great, and thanks. That actually, this timeline came from comments that we had from McHale Grant Partners about their issues or challenges with retention and persistence. And so we were noticing that there were patterns of when learners tended to disappear sometimes. So. Would anybody else like to share?
Well,
or
I thought this is Amoke. I thought it was interesting the period between, what is it, mid-session and the end of session. We tend not to lose students because at that point they're so engaged and preparing for their class presentation at the end of the session. So that's usually like a full house for us.
Mm-hmm. I need some technical assistance. How do I get to move the screen when I can't see the top? It's blocked by the Zoom thing at the top.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay.
You can't, but I can, if you want to unshare, I can share my screen and do it that way.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You have it in full frame, Rudy. You probably have to make it that box in the
Oh,
center,
okay.
like that, and then you can slide it down and prop
Got it. Okay. I got it, Tiffany. So
That's-
Amoke was talking about, was it mid-session and end?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm okay. What type of project do they do? Is there, something that's always done, or it really depends on the class?
Yeah, every class does one, and the teacher and the class get to pick what it is out of their different units or experiences, discussions that they want to share at the end with the other classes. And so I break them into like levels 1, 2, and 3 present. No, 1 and 2, levels 1 and 2 present together, and 2, 3, 3 and 4 would present along with the older, rather more advanced conversation classes. So it ends up being kind of a fair sharing of information and levels, of skills. But they seem to like it, and every year that it gets more interesting, the subject matter,
Very cool.
That's a great idea.
And Shannon, we do something similar at our center. We do home country presentations where we have them do a whole art project surrounding, with pictures and images and quotes and what have you, a collage, if you will, about their home country, and then they present it. And then we also have them do a follow-up PowerPoint presentation about their home country as well, and present it to the class. And then other things that we've done for like final projects included reading a book, a chapter book about a famous person, and then presenting to the class on that person as a small group.
Those are interesting.
We have done something kind of similar at CASA, where like the classes will do a group presentation to the other classes. And one thing that we kind of, it seems like some people don't show up on that day because of the presentation, like they're scared to present. Then what do you guys, like, what is your workaround for that? Like, do you think maybe, it has to do with the amount of prep time that people have, leading up to the presentation, or are there other strategies we could be incorporating into the preparation?
In addition to the prep time, because we incorporate the prep time as a part of that class, at some point in that class, we do prep as we get closer. But the other thing I think that works is everybody has a special part they have to do. So it's sort of like if their piece wasn't there, then, there would be a hole.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
And
we make it real fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's real fun. It's not like we try not to make this stressful,
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
We also incorporate the prep time in the class, within the class confines, and we give a lot of feedback throughout the process so that they are super prepared by the time it comes down to the actual presentation.
All right, thank you.
Rudy, we have
Yes.
a question that was on the sticky notes in the back. Someone's asking, what is the individualized welcome video in period 1? So somebody from the
Okay.
first group shared something.
Yeah, that's Sherry Waddy's contribution. Go ahead, Sherry.
Oh, right. So this year is the first time that we've done this, and we did it because there were so many procedural changes that went into effect because of COVID. So we really wanted the participants to know exactly what to expect when they were coming back to the center, in terms of daily health checks and temperature checks and whatever other extra procedures that were now in play. So we decided to do it in a way that's super simple, using very understandable and relatable language and images. And we did it on a video through PowerPoint, which we turned into a video, and then we uploaded it to YouTube and sent it out to them. But we made it individualized. So we included their picture, which we had them send to us, their names. We called the family out by name. And we did that because we have pictures of staff with masks and without, but we did that because we not only serve adults, we also serve little ones, infants and toddlers. So we really wanted them to be prepared and know exactly what to expect when they were coming into the center.
Sherry, can I ask, when you say individualized, I understand you say you include their pictures, but then this is like once each student, they will receive a different welcome video from others, just with their pictures and the program introduction, those kind of things.
Yeah, basically only one slide was different. All the other slides were exactly the same.
Okay.
So we just changed the first slide that says, hi, whatever the person's name is with their picture.
Yeah.
But all the rest of it is I'm sorry.
How many did you make?
We have a small group. So we had probably no more than 18 total.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it. Thank you.
No problem.
And Sherry, did you find that that was effective means of getting your students into class that first day?
They love it. I mean, anytime that you can say a person's name on a video, it's pretty exciting. So no, they absolutely loved it. Do I think that that was the reason why they ended up coming to class? Probably not, but I think that it didn't hurt.
Yeah. But if you have over 100 students, then it's too much work. But that's a good idea. Yeah.
Definitely. And there are a lot of other great ideas up here. Does anybody have any other questions about any of these ones up here, whether it's whatever time in the time frame?
One sticky note says food helps, but then that probably just for in-person class, right?
Yeah.
You cannot do it on Zoom. Okay. Yeah. I'll remember that.
The students will remind you.
But maybe I was thinking with food helps, you could incentivize using gift cards to restaurants if you have that kind of budget.
I know
Okay,
when we used to have, I'm sorry.
Go on, I'm okay.
But I was just going to say that when we were in person, we used to have fun by bringing in our country foods. And that was, a real plus.
Unfortunately, we're running a little bit short on time now. So I thought just in the last few minutes, we could look at these questions here and see if there are any that resonate with you, and we could talk about a little bit. I'm gonna take the facilitators. I've forgotten the word, but and choose a question because it's one that really interests me, and it also kind of segues into our next session for instructors. How does your program communicate with instructors about learner retention, and do you share retention goals? Do you provide supports for teachers to retain students? So I know a lot of programs, well, the larger programs have, orientations for teachers and everything. Is retention a specific topic, and how is it covered? Now, this is a big question right now, but in the next few minutes, if anybody wanted to say something about that.
I think that the most important thing is for it to be very timely, for the teachers to share with us when someone is missing from class. Then we can jump in and help, because if it's, a couple of weeks down the pike, it might be too late. But if it's a class or two, we can usually jump right in and get the person back in class.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask, okay, what your process is that? Is that a responsibility of the instructor? Is there a program coordinator who does that? How does your program?
It's a combination. The instructor lets me know, sends me an email, or, depending on the relationship with the instructor and student. For instance, if something happened in class and then that student doesn't come the next day, usually that's something that the teacher and the student need to check out, Can you hear me still?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, but then otherwise, then I follow up, and I work with the parents and the parents. I work with the children of these students who support them a lot. So I'll call and talk to the family and see what's happening, as well. We have one daughter who's in the Netherlands, who's taking care of her father, who's in our program. Isn't that nice?
Oh my goodness.
Yes, she calls me from the Netherlands.
At the Briggs Center, we talk more about attendance than retention and persistence. I'm pretty sure when I let the students know, when the class is, and they're expected to come both days, like some classes are once a week, some are twice a week, some are 3 times a week. And the problem we have is, the one problem is that sometimes the student only wants to come once a week, either only wants to or only can come once a week. So their work schedule changes and they can only come just Tuesday, but not Thursday. So what do we, usually I say, okay, come when you can, just let your teacher know, but then they're going to miss a lot of the content, and each lesson builds on the next. So it's not ideal, but we are a drop-in program, and I mean, we operate like a managed enrollment. I mean, even though we are an access grant, we have the expectation that you come, both days of the week.
Stacey, when I was up at Montgomery College teaching, we had that problem with people's schedules, impacting their attendance. And so what I would do is give them some packages to take home, which would make up for the days that they, missed. And then they would bring those when they came back, and I would turn it around and give them feedback. And that kept them sort of up with the class.
And did they actually do the work for the most part?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. It's a little extra work for you, for the instructor, but if you can tell the student is dedicated and committed, then it's probably worth it. But
I thought it was.
Good. Thank you for that idea.
And Stacey, thank you for also raising the thought again about drop-ins, because retention and persistence means is totally different for drop-in. What does it mean for drop-in programs, and what should your goal be? I think that that's a topic for a whole other meeting. So as Tiffany mentioned at the beginning, there's so many facets of persistence and retention we could explore further. And so I'm afraid we'll have to start wrapping up here, but in the survey that we'll be giving you the link to on this workshop, there is a place where it will ask you, I want to know more about. So please do fill that out if there are ideas that you have for, should we follow up on some topics that came up out of this meeting and delve deeper. So as I said before, though, we will be sending out a copy of this to everybody. And what we'd like to do is actually assimilate it a little bit and organize it so that the ideas up there are organized by, what's a process and what is perhaps in the classroom. But in any case, thank you so much, all of you, for sharing your great ideas here. And Tiffany, I love this Jamboard. I think we should use it every meeting. I really do. It's easy to use and colorful and, everything. So I also, these questions up here, I'm still very interested in pursuing. One other thing that we are going to do is use the Google group to follow up on the discussion in this meeting. So we can add some of these questions perhaps to the Google group and just have an open discussion there. So I'm sorry, our time just went zooming by. But in any case, we'll close out with here's the survey link. So please take a couple of minutes to complete that. We really appreciate that. And I'm going to go ahead and make some Michaela announcements while you're doing that. So we have, as we've mentioned, an instructor workshop on learner retention scheduled for October 27th, 1 to 2:30. And so we're looking forward to actually, we can use that space to explore some of these things that came up today as well. And Kathy had alluded to a big event coming up. Well, it is Michaela's 15th year anniversary. And it's hard to believe, but because for me, it feels like we just had our 10th. But we are kicking off our celebration on the 28th of October, which happens to also be National Immigrant Day, with an event at the Silver Spring Civic Center from 4:30 to 6:30. And there we'll have a keynote speaker, Tom Perez, who actually I heard now is running for governor, but he's very active in the Democratic Party. But more importantly, he was a very critical person. He used to be on the Montgomery County Council. So he was a critical person in terms of the creation of McHale. And so we're really pleased that he can speak at our celebration event. So our celebration will be lasting for about 6 months, as Kathy mentioned. And so hopefully we'll be ending it in the spring with a spelling bee. So I hope that all of you can come to our event on the 28th. You'll be receiving an invitation will come out through all of our usual channels. And then the next network meeting is going to be focused on job skills and employment resources, and that's on November 10th. So I think that's all the McHale announcements. Would anybody like to make an announcement of our group here? No? Okay. Have I forgotten anything, Tiffany?
I think you're good. I just wanted to remind people, if you're not in the Google group, you can join. There's the information there. There's some really great conversations happening right now, especially as we're thinking about moving into 2022 about who's having classes in session, virtually, online. It's just a great place to continue the conversation. So we'll be adding a couple of what do you call them? Posts. I can't think of the word that I wanted to say, around retention, so we can keep this conversation going. And we'll be following up with a link to the recording for today. You can continue to use the Jamboard if you want to add some more ideas for the next day or so, and then we'll be closing it off from being edited. But we will send those results to you, as Rudy said. And thank you all for coming and your contribution to this workshop. It's fabulous. Yeah, I see you clapping, Miss Sheila. We can celebrate.
Wonderful to see everybody.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. Great workshop. Bye-bye.
Good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.